The time has come to start to build up the Wabi Special. I'm excited. Let's do it. First thing we're going to do is put in the bottom bracket, since this is going to be not hard, but it's one of the not nice things that we got to do. So here's our bottom bracket right here. This is the right side. This is the right side of the bike. So it's going to go in like that, it looks like. Oh, actually, never mind. This comes off. So this will go in like this, and this will get threaded in like that. Of course, it's always important to use some grease, just a little bit, just to prevent seizing. Just dab it on right there. Nothing too crazy, but we just don't want it to seize in there, because then if the bottom bracket ends up being bad, or if it starts to, what's the word I'm looking for? If it starts to creak, like I've had happen on one of my other Wabis, we want to be able to take this out. So now that I got grease on my fingers, let's go ahead and thread this in. This is reverse threaded, I didn't realize. I'm sitting there turning it and it's not going anywhere. Yeah, it's reverse threaded. Bottom bracket tool from Wabi. By the way, all of the tools that I'm going to be using today I have purchased from Wabi Cycles, with the exception of one of them, and I'll definitely show them to you. You can get it for like $10 on Amazon, but the bottom bracket tools, everything can be purchased straight from Wabi Cycles. So thank you, Wabi, for not sponsoring this video, because I bought all this stuff with my own money, but thanks for not only creating some amazing bicycles, but making it like a one-stop shop where you can literally buy anything that you need, or everything that you need to build a bicycle. Actually, just kidding. We're going to try this long thing right here. You can get more leverage with a tool like this. We got the other side. We got to grease that up though. Just going to put a little bit of grease on it. This one is not reverse threaded, so we can go counterclockwise. There we go. Make it nice and snug. All right, now it is time to put the crankset on. Okay, since we're right here, we'll just put the left one on. We grease the bolt up so we won't have any seizing issues. Although probably easier. This is not very sturdy. The bike is swinging around. So it's like just weird. Let's do it like this. All right, one crankset on. Now let's get the other one on. By the way, I took all of these parts off of my Wabi Thunder, so this is more just like I'm rebuilding the bike just with parts that I, quote, already had. All right, we don't want to put the crankset like this. We want to make sure that it is good, like that. There we go. Put some grease on this bolt. Crankset's on. Everything's all set. Oh yeah, there's one more thing we got to do, and it's with these chainring bolts. Let me show you that right now. This right here, that's the back of the chainring bolt right there. So when we go ahead and tighten all of these, they're all pretty good. See how it just, I don't know if you could see that. See how it just freely spins? So this is a chainring bolt tool. It goes right in there, fits perfectly, maybe not that side, this side fits perfectly right here. And it's supposed to just hold that chainring bolt right there. That way we can, in theory, it's supposed to work. All right, next on the list, the saddle and the seat post. This is a Brooks saddle, and it is a Thompson Elite seat post. Of course, we got to put just a little bit of grease on this, again, just to prevent it from seizing. So what we'll actually do is put some grease right here on my finger, and just put a little bit in here, just a little bit. But we'll leave it. Usually I can really just fit one hand under the seat post and then I'm good. So let's make sure it's straight. Again, very easy to adjust this. Cool. Right, now we're going to get this off and put the handlebars on. notice I have the desk holding this so it doesn't fall out, because once I loosen this, that's pretty much it. There's nothing else holding this in. And we're gonna go with the black color, whatever these are called, spacers. We're doing a black cranks, black Seatpost, black handlebars, black spacers. It's pretty much what we're going for here. The silver headset is a nice touch, but what we're going for here is mostly blue with black. It just looks really sick. Still got the brake cables attached from the old bike, but we'll deal with that when we have to. I don't know how tight I'm gonna make this. I'm just gonna snug it up for right now. Once we have the bike fully built, I will go ahead and just grab the front brake and then rock it back and forth, make sure I don't feel any knocking in the headset. But for right now, snug it up. It is always a good habit anytime you are loosening the stem bolts, always tighten them up. I actually did go out for a ride one time after loosening the stem bolts, and I forgot to tighten the steerer ones. And good thing I wasn't going too fast, because I went to jerk the handlebars to the left, and then the handlebars went that way, the wheel stayed straight. So otherwise, like I said, you'll forget, you'll be like me, and the handlebars will turn and the wheel won't turn. All right, it's actually starting to look a little bit like a bicycle now. Not much, but just a little bit. All right, it is the next day, and it is time to put the wheels on this bike. All right, front wheel up first. Get this thing out of here. I'm usually putting the wheel in upside down, so I'm not used to holding pressure on the wheel, like upwards pressure. Okay, the wheel in the front is actually a sub 15 with a 28 millimeter wide Continental race tire. We're gonna put on this wheel in the back. This is the Wabi CX Urban wheel that came off of the Thunder. It is just a little bit wider. It's at an 18 millimeter width, and we do have a 32 millimeter Panaracer Gravel King wrapped around there. The reason why I'm putting this wheel on just for right now is I want to make sure we have enough clearance if I want to run a 32 millimeter tire. You'll see, let me just show you. You see right here how it's slammed right up against the seat tube of the bike? We don't want that to happen, so what we have to do is pay attention to the dropout. We have to pull the dropout out a little bit. So right about there is actually pretty good, since I can fit my index finger right in here. We know we're gonna have good clearance if we want to take advantage of the full 32 millimeter with tire clearance on this bike and run 32 millimeter all-road gravel tires, whatever you want to call them. We can move it a bit closer right here, but we definitely can't go much closer just because look at the clearance right there. And let's also take a look at the clearance right here. It actually gets pretty close. So we can do it, or you could do it if you've got this bike. Check out that clearance. Right in here, that's good. And on that side, we're good too. Clearance over here is not really, let me do it from this side. Clearance over here is not really an issue. The issue I've found with these bikes is it gets tight up here and it gets tight over here around the brakes. So now I'm gonna make a mark right here. This is where we want the wheel to be. If you could see that, just magic marker, Sharpie right here. Just because the shorter our chain goes with this bike, if the chain's too short, it's gonna be too tight. We're not gonna be able to fit a wide tire in there. But if we make the chain long enough that we pull it all the way back here, now all of a sudden we are going to have that tire clearance by the seat tube, and more importantly, by the brake bridge up here. Speaking of the brake bridge, let's go ahead and put the brakes on this bike. Brakes we're using, TRPR something. I bought them a long time ago for my Wabi Classic. They're pretty decent, but honestly, I don't notice a big difference between these brakes and the brakes of, let's say, just the standard Wabi Textro brake that comes. So I would say it's more important to do things like get a good compound brake pad and also get some high quality, what are they called? High quality cables. That's it, Jaguar. But that's another video for another time. But yeah, I'm using these just because this is what I have and I don't feel like spending $50 on a new pair of Textros. Go ahead and snug it up. We're not gonna go too tight with this. Now, as you could see right here, it is actually rubbing the tire. So if we open the brakes, the tire can't move. But the brakes are probably going to sit right like here once we add tension to them. So we have plenty of clearance. Even if we go like that, that's plenty of clearance right there. Right, now we can go ahead and take the gravel tire out. I have to loosen it because I snugged it up. And the sub 15 wheel is going in, since this bike deserves sub 15s. There we go, it's coming through, it's coming together. Coming together pretty good so far. Time to put the front brake on. I also want to make sure that this is long enough. This housing, yeah, look at that housing. That housing is perfectly long enough. It could sit right there. So we could just go ahead and hook up this brake right here. Right through there. Perfect length. I prefer to go a little bit looser, since you could always tighten it with the barrel adjuster right here. Now to center the brakes, obviously, what I like to do is loosen up the caliper bolt in the back of the fork. Then I like to grab the brakes with my hand, and I just like to come back here and just snug it up, see if that works. And for the most part, you're seeing right here, they're pretty good. All right, one thing I almost forgot to do, we need to fix this brake pad so that it meets flush and it's nice and even Steven with the rim. So what I typically do is I grab the front brake, I loosen it, the brake pad holder that is, and I like to put it, I don't like to put it too close to the tire because I don't want the rim brakes to be burning the tire out. That could be dangerous. I like to put it a little on the low side, leave a little bit more room. And also I like to angle it like this, because when you're tightening this, that final tightness, that final crank you do, you're gonna see the brake pad move. So I put it a little bit crooked just to leave a little bit of room for that movement. Did you see it move? It's subtle, but it moved. I promise it moved. It just went, it was like this and it just went, yeah, just a little bit. Hold the brake hard. All right, that side's done. We're good. Finishing touches. We don't need this to be super long. I like it right about there. And we've got some nice red accented cable end caps, I guess you could call it. Just put it right there. I usually put 3 crimps. So squeeze it a little bit, squeeze it a little bit, squeeze it a little bit. Actually, you got to be careful using the pair of cutters for this. You could use a pair of needle nose pliers, but as long as you don't squeeze it as hard as you can, it's not like you're trying to cut the cable, because you could actually do that with these. These are powerful enough, but just a little bit so that it crimps, and there we go. Look how good that looks. Nice little red accent. All right, now it's time to put the chain on, and I've had this chain, this KMC K1 narrow wide chain. I've had it sitting in my toolbox for quite a while. We're gonna go ahead and put this on. That way, this will be the last thing that we need to do, so that we can take the bike off of this stand and I could just put it on the ground, do the handlebar work, rewrap the bar tape, put the brakes, connect the brakes, and then we're good to go, basically. We do have a quick link in here. I'm not really into quick links, honestly. I don't have anything against them, but actually I do. I just, you know how to use a chain tool, a chain breaker. There's no need for a quick link. There's a 46 tooth chain ring in the front, and we've got a 17 and a 19 in the back, which I should probably clean before we do this. New chain, new bike. You want it to be as nice as possible stay as nice as possible for as long as possible. There we go, absolutely perfect. I can feel this chain is full of grease, so I'm really trying not to touch the rims of the bike, although if that happens, then what are you gonna do? Let's see. There we go. Heavy duty chain breaker, but I lost my spot, so we gotta go through all of that again. All right, we're gonna try right here and see how that goes. Yeah, fits perfectly in there. Ooh, this thing crooked. Push the chain pin back in. When you do push it back in, you shouldn't feel any, you should feel initial resistance, but that's pretty much it. You shouldn't feel anything other than just initial resistance. All right, we're able to shorten the chain. And for a 4617, it looks okay. Still would want it to go a little bit longer because now we probably can't run 32 millimeter tires, but I probably have to get a standard Wabi chain and some sort of a half link chain to make that happen. But for the most part, this is acceptable for right now. Okay, now that we've got the chain on the bicycle, the bottom bracket in, and the wheels on, it's almost complete for the most part, so we no longer need to have that big park tool, which is just big, heavy, and gets in the way. I've just got a nice Feedback Sports front wheel holder right there, set up the desk, so just a couple more things to do, and the bike's gonna be ready. I think first we're gonna put on the bottle cages and the pump mount, that way we can just do the rest standing up. One bottle cage on. We're going with the Lezyne something gauge, pen gauge pump. I find this is really good, ABS pen gauge. I was using it when I had my TCR. Now I was going to go ahead and replace the handlebar tape on this bike. However, the bar tape still looks pretty good, so I think we're just gonna unwrap this just because obviously this bike, we need to use a much longer Jaguar brake cable to reach the back brake caliper. There's no stops on the top tube like there were on the Wabi Thunder. You know what, this bar tape is actually pretty nasty. I've unwrapped it and wrapped it so many times on my Wabi Thunder to change the brake cables, back and forth, cantilevers, V-brakes, cantilevers, V-brakes. New frame, new bike, sort of. So might as well get rid of the old nasty bar tape and just put on some brand new Supercast bar tape, which again, sitting in the closet for God knows how long. Also got these new gel pads. I always put them underneath my bar tape. They really make a huge difference. I had some from, I forgot where, but the Surface gel pads, they're a bit cushy at first, but once they break in, it's the difference between having hands that hurt and hands that don't hurt, honestly. I have this on my Wabi Classic, never had any issues at all, but my Wabi Thunder, even with that Supercast bar tape and the other brand, whatever brand this is, I swear this is not toothpaste, Planet Bike maybe. This was good at first, but not as comfortable as Supercast, and my hands always hurt on the Wabi Thunder after about 30 or 45 minutes. A little bit more on the edge of the bar. We don't need it in front of the bar. I want it to be more on the back, think where you put your hands. I always forget which way to wrap. I think we go this way. Let's take my least favorite things to do is wrap bar tape. Problem is you don't do it enough, or I don't do it enough, that every time I do it, it's like I'm out of practice. I forget how to do it. Started from the center roll. Just easier for me to go this way. The tricky part It's a very tricky part. Okay. Guess that'll have to do. Not exactly painless. It is a bit of a pain. Overall, this is the result. Not too bad. Right, just setting up the rear brake cable right now. Routing the housing, and we're going to size it up and make sure it's not too long, not too short, just right. Now you probably noticed that I'm using my own Velcro straps versus those silver metal clips that they have or that they usually send. I still have those, however, I want to try the Velcro straps just because I find it's a little bit kinder to the paint job. And if you end up picking the bike up from here, I usually do this with my left arm on the other side. That little pinch right here, the little pinch bolt right there on those metal straps, it actually has cut some of my jackets up and it just doesn't feel as nice in the hands. I'm trying the Velcro straps. Honestly, they don't look as clean, but we'll see. Could always put those metal straps back on, maybe just up front, and leave a Velcro strap back here, push all the way to the back. That way it doesn't cut up my hand or screw up my clothes. All right, rear brake is all hooked up. We've got the hose routed nicely along here. Also tensioned it perfectly, tightened this down. Got that little red cherry thing right there, center the caliper. Everything works perfectly. Perfect front, perfect back. Bike is all set. Well, bike is almost all set. All that's left to do is put on the bar tape cushioning and then the bar tape, and then we're good. The bike is done. And just like that, the bike is fully built. So let's go ahead and do a good old-fashioned bike check. Okay, this is a 2024 Wabi Special. Size is 55, and the color is a beautiful, beautiful sapphire blue. This bike looks absolutely, it's just crazy how nice this bike looks. Special means that it has lugged construction. You can see those are lugs right there, and there are also some lugs right here, and the classic Special and the Thunder, the steel forks are all lugged. The Lightning, the Wabi Lightning, has carbon forks as far as I know. Starting at the top, Brooks B17 saddle. I only ride Brooks saddles. They are very heavy. I'm sure there are more comfortable saddles out there. However, these are the only saddles that don't absolutely destroy my jeans or my shorts in the summertime. So having these saddles on all my bikes means I don't always have to put on my cycling kit and dress up like a superhero in spandex. Really like the convenience of that. Thompson Elite alloy seat post. It is a setback just to give me more room, since on the 55 sometimes it's nice to be able to stretch out. I do like the smaller frame, but this one's really nice. The stock seat post was okay, but sometimes the seat ended up slipping and then, pointing the nose up, pointing the nose down. It can get a little bit weird. Wasn't much of an issue, only happened once when I had this on my Thunder, but I figured why not put on a nice seat post and then just never have to worry about it ever again. For the cockpit, we have an FSA Omega stem. This is a 31.8 millimeter stem, I believe, and it is a 110 millimeter. You could see it's got, I think it's a 6-degree stem. It's not Wabi's classic 17-degree stem, and it also has a bigger clamp, which I actually like. The handlebars, FSA Omega compact road drops. They're just the easiest bars. They're like 50 bucks on Amazon. They're alloy. You don't have to worry about your carbon bars breaking. So definitely enjoy that. I am running the full drop bars with the hooded levers. This is just going to give you the maximum amount of comfort, since you're going to most of the time you're going to be riding like this. Grab the brakes very easily. You want to sit upright, you can go here, but you can also go in the corners, and sometimes if you want, you can go down on the drops and you can still grab the brakes with your index finger. This actually works very well, and this is something that I do a lot of times when I'm going downhill. Brake levers are basic Tektro hooded levers, not the fancy TRP ones. I find these work the best. We are wrapped in Supercaz sticky cush tape, Supercaz super sticky cush tape. This is the black with the red stars on it. I really like that. It just looks really nice. And also have the Supercaz red bar ends right there. And underneath of the bar tape, we've also got Surface padding. It's like a gel pad. Really makes a big difference, especially if you're going to be riding around a place like New York City, where a lot of the roads are very bumpy. Makes a huge difference. Your hands aren't going to hurt. Currently running 30 millimeter of spacers under the stem. I can run 40 or 45, just if I'm a little bit inflexible, but I like the way the bike handles and rides the best with 30s. I could go 20, but that actually is it's a bit tough maybe if I'm riding a lot. And like I said, sometimes I may put one under here and run 40, just maybe if I'm super inflexible and find my neck hurts or something like that. But I do like this setup the best. Speaking of the setup, we have the Wabi top cap in red. It's a nice accent with the red stars and the red bar ends, and it just looks really good, something that I really enjoy. Also, we have an integrated, sort of integrated GPS mount, and I've also got a Magic Shine bike light mount right here since I use Magic Shine lights. So running bar bags, you know, just clutter free. You can run bar bags. You can put your hands all the way choke up on the stem. It's just really nice. It keeps the cockpit nice and clean, and it's just super simple. It's just nice. Moving on down the line, running front and rear brakes. I always like riding both brakes, and I would always recommend it. We do have the TRP R879, I believe. Wow, that's a lot of clearance. I can fit my whole finger in there. Great brakes, very strong, very powerful. Also have some salmon cool stop pads right in here, which is just nice. If you get caught in the rainstorm, these are still going to work, and they're also softer than the aluminum, so they're not going to totally destroy your aluminum wheels. And a nice little touch too is this little red cable stop. Something I think I got them off Amazon. They're just something nice. It's kind of cool if you have a bike that's still using rim brakes, or if you're using mechanical systems. If you have these standard steel pull cables in your bike, definitely get something like this. It's subtle, but you'll appreciate it. Especially it matches the other red accents on the bike. Now, a big upgrade that not a lot of people realize they can do to their cable actuated rim brakes or disc brakes is running Jaguar super, I don't know what they're called, Jaguar frictionless or minimal friction cable housing. These things make the biggest difference. If you're riding a rim brake bike or a cable actuated disc brake bike, and you're feeling that when you grab the brake levers, you just don't have enough power, or it's hard to grab, you definitely gotta take the time, invest in the Jaguar compressionless cable housing, take the time to root them up, cut them with clippers. They're a little bit tough to bend because they actually are beefier, and they're also tougher to clip, tougher to cut with cutters. However, it's going to take your brake lever performance from here to here. You can't even see that, from here to here. And it's definitely one of the best upgrades you can do for rim brakes. As long as you have a set of modern, not calipers, modern road style or modern brake levers that you could easily grab. I know some of the old ones, the pivot points were all screwed up. Definitely this is going to make the biggest difference, even if you do put on expensive $200-$300 Ultegra, Shimano Dura Ace, or Durace brakes, whatever rim brakes. If you don't have good cables, it doesn't matter. So I would say that you should upgrade, make sure that your brake levers are on point first, make sure they're comfortable, and make sure you can grab them easily. Then get yourself some really nice Jaguar compressionless cable housing. And then the next thing is get yourself some salmon cool stop red pads. And honestly, a standard pair of Textro R539s are going to be totally fine. Those are the ones that Wabi equips. So a little bit of a tangent right there, but definitely something that I wanted to talk about. We do have Velcro straps instead of those little metal clips. I may put the metal clips on for the first two. I think I'll leave the Velcro strap right here, since a lot of times I lift the bike up right here when I'm picking it up, you know, going up and down stairs in my third floor apartment. And that little cable clip right here, it'll actually either dig into my hand, or if I'm putting, let's say I'm putting the bike over like that and I happen to be wearing a shirt or a jacket, it has actually cut up one of my jackets. So I'm probably gonna leave this one. Maybe I'll just put the cable clips over here, but for the most part, it's okay right now. Rear brake, same thing, nothing, you know, we already went over the brakes. Still got the little red thing right there, little red cable end. And I always forget to take the duct tape off, but there's the brakes. Moving right along. Oh yeah, almost forgot. This is just something I put on just the other day. It was sitting somewhere here in the apartment. I just figured to put it on. It's just a little light mount. Yeah, just throw it on. Why not? Magic Shine lights, definitely really good. USB-C rechargeable. Really enjoy them. Moving right along down, we have some basic black Planet bike, I believe, water bottle holders. I always ride with 2 water bottles, if not 1. But if the weather gets nice, I always like to stay hydrated. And a nice Lezine pen, ABS pen gauge pump. Definitely, the thing is super small, but it packs a serious punch. So far, so good. It's not bothering me that it's on there, but I may switch it out. Crankset, we've got an Andel track crankset, unbranded. This is just what Wabi uses. I've had no problem with this crankset, absolutely awesome. Fixation Mesa pedals, they're $60. They're like nylon plastic, but they're sealed bearings. Definitely very comfortable if you're gonna be wearing cycling shoes like Vans slip-ons or Vans old schools. These are my favorite pedals as far as flat pedals go. They definitely are a little bit lighter than some of your other options. And since I'm running single speed, even when I was running fixed gear, actually, I never really cared for foot straps. I just felt like either clip in with cycling shoes or run flats and just run a second brake and deal with it. Gearing, we've got a 46 chainring in the front, and it's up to a 17 tooth in the back. You could see this is the White Industries ENOS, or Dos Enos rather, I should say, freewheel, really high quality. It's got a 17 tooth and a 19 tooth. So maybe if I'm, out of shape, or if I'm climbing a lot of hills, I can just pull over, I can loosen the wheel and just put it over to the 19 tooth. Something I did a while ago, but I do like the way the 4617 runs. This is a nice KMC K1, I believe, chain. It's new, it still has that slime on it. Nice looking chain, I gotta say. I like the two-tone finish. Although these chains, any bike chain is going to start to look pretty rough once you ride them. I guess we'll have to see how much I like this one, but honestly, Wabi's standard chains that are $8 or $12, that's what I would run from, $12 chain, you can't go wrong, just get it in all black, you're set, single speed, you don't have to spend tons of money. Nice thing about the White Industries, again, we just have one more red accent on the bike that really just makes the whole bike look really nice. And the wheels right now, these are my Wabi Sub 15s that I've had for a very long time. I think I had to true the back wheel once, not an issue for me. I know how to do it. If the wheel wobbles to the right, you pull the spoke to the left, you tension the spoke tighter. That's on the opposite way. So if it's going that way, you want to pull it, just pull it the opposite direction. Another video for another time. Wheels are really good. Brought up the whole truing thing just because I'm usually about 200 pounds. Just myself, and then with the backpack and with the bike, these wheels are probably taking 230, 240 pounds, and they actually are pretty good. Really enjoy them, very zippy. We do have Tubolito TPU inner tubes. My favorite. I am pretty much done with tubeless as far as right now. I don't want to have all the tubeless gook all over the place. It's just a mess, and the TPU inner tubes, knock on wood, have been great so far. And yeah, I will run them until they become a huge problem, but hopefully they don't. And they're also a bonus. They're very small and very lightweight to carry like 2 or 3. I used to only carry 1 or 2 inner tubes. Now I carry 3. And if I have a backpack, I'm sometimes carrying up to 4 of these inner tubes. I'm literally set for a long time. Tires on these wheels, Continental Grand Prix 5000. The standard ones, I believe you can get a pair for about $100 or $120 on Amazon. That's the two of them. That's a pair. And that's just something nice. That's, not having the tubeless option, or not going tubeless. You could definitely get your tires a lot cheaper, by like almost 50%. I believe the tubeless version is $100 each. So they would have been $200 instead of $100. Haven't had any issues with these tires and these tubes yet. These are race tires, so the puncture resistance is but so far so good. I don't take these wheels, or I don't plan on taking these wheels with this bike out in the bad weather. I don't ride too much in the bad weather, honestly. But if I did, if they become an issue, I have some old Continental Grand Prix 4 Seasons, which I don't even know if they're probably going to discontinue those at some point. But those GP 4 Season tires, they have a little bit more puncture resistance than these. But yeah, these wheels, really good. Also, let's go ahead and see how much this bike weighs. Hook it onto the metal rail with Brooks. Took a while. 20.87 pounds. Everyone says how their Wabis, they set them up super lightweight. I've always found that they run about 19 or 20 pounds. Maybe 19 pounds you can get it down, but realistic weight with a lot of the stuff you're going to be using, like a pump, bottle cages, front and rear brakes, all that stuff, they can be pretty up there. Mind you, for the price of one of these and for what you're getting, the bike's going to ride like a rocket ship, and it's still a very, very, for me, it's a super lightweight bike. But a couple of things we can do to this bike in order to make it just a little bit lighter would be, number one, that Brooks saddle easily lose at least a half a pound, if not a pound, to put on a lighter saddle. However, it's going to destroy your jeans. Riding this white Industries Dos Enos freewheel, that's another half a pound right there, so there's a whole pound. If we just went road fixed gear, then definitely we could ditch that freewheel. Now we're down to 19.8 pounds. Removing the rear brake, removing the brake housing, probably another half a pound, so 18.5 pounds, or 19, somewhere around 19 pounds if you're okay just riding a fixed gear bike with just a front brake. Of course, you're going to need foot retention for that, but those things the foot straps aren't really going to cost you much as far as weight, maybe like a quarter pound or barely anything, a tenth of a pound. And of course, you could do things like get a super lightweight pump. You could even do things like you can just run flat bars with one brake lever. That'll save you a little bit. Or if you want to, I won't recommend this, you just take all the brakes off and just run it as a fixed gear. I'm sure you're going to hit that 18 or 17.5 pound mark. But for me, people say their bikes are 17 pounds. It's just never been my experience with the Wabi Classic, and same thing with the Wabi Special. Maybe the Wabi Lightning would be 20 pounds in this configuration if we took all the parts off here and put them on a Wabi Lightning. But again, these bikes are not going to be as lightweight as like a giant TCR, Trek and Honda, if they even make that anymore, or a super lightweight racing machine. It's just more going to be a nice lightweight steel, reliable, robust, durable, which is all the same thing, single speed road bike that you don't have to baby. So we're still in the middle of winter here, but we've only got about a month or two left before it starts to get into the high 40s and low 50s daily. Once that happens, we'll definitely be taking this thing out for a couple of joyrides, and the maiden voyage will be filmed. Thanks for watching.